Hi, my name is Jay Bright. Today's Lent devotional is going to come from John chapter 8, and I'm going to focus on verses 1 through 11. So Jesus was teaching in the temple when some scribes and Pharisees brought a woman to Jesus who was caught in adultery. They brought her there. They were asking Jesus what he would have them do, letting Jesus know that Moses commanded that a woman in these such actions should be stoned. Rather than immediately answering, Jesus bent down and began drawing on the ground with his finger. Now, what happened next came from verse 7, so I'm going to read that. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." Now, this really convicted everyone that was present. One by one, they began to leave until only Jesus and the woman remained. At this point, Jesus told the woman, "Go and sin no more." So a couple things that stood out from these verses was, number one, just the hypocrisy of the scribes and the Pharisees, who were really quick to point out the woman's sin. But Jesus shifted the focus to the accuser's faults. And I think that's a really good reminder for us. Kind of the worldly view, the worldly actions are to look at others, find their faults, find their shortcomings, and to be judgmental, when in reality we should be looking inward and doing what we can to separate from sin. And another thing that stood out was in this story, Jesus was the only sinless person that was present. Therefore, he was the only one that was qualified to judge, yet he offered grace instead of punishment. He didn't condone the sin, but he offered forgiveness and encouraged her to change her ways. I think this is really reassuring for us. None of us are perfect. We all have our shortcomings. But how awesome is it that Jesus forgives us? So rather than beating ourselves up, we really need to strive to do what Jesus commanded to the woman, and that's to go and sin no more. Thank you. Hope you have a great day.